Chapter 4, The Sports Festival. William Afton's prov. I woke up and it was the day of the sports festival. I got to the living room and saw that the kids were dressed in their kids outfits for the sports festival. I smiled and Kasaki came out of the bear's room in his outfit. I smiled and he smiled as well. I looked at my husbands and they were done making food and we sat in our seats and it was time for breakfast. I smiled and it was time for us to eat and I get ready for the sports festival. When we got done breakfast, it was time for us to head to our arenas. When we got to the first year's arena, we saw everyone looking at Kasaki, and he was a little scared, and it blocked him from the eyes of the people. When we got in, I took Kasaki to his place, and it was time for him to get done. The kids looked at him, and I blocked him, and I smiled, and he smiled as well. We got to the area of his class and could not see him or hear him. I started to talk to him. It's time to show people you are an Afton. I spoke. Yes, Dad, he spoke. I smiled and he smiled as well and we hugged and it was time for me to go. I got to the first front and said this. Have a good time in the sports festivals. I spoke. We will, said the class. Said the class. I smiled and headed to the main entrance and stood out on the stairs with Semtos. Hello, William, said Semtos. Hello, Semtos. I spoke. So you are just doing it? I asked Semtos. Yes, I am, I spoke. That is good, he spoke. It is, I spoke. We finished the talk and I looked at Kasaki, adopted papers. I hope you do good, Kasaki, I thought. The heroes started to come into the stadium and I looked at everyone and it was time to hide in my place. I got to my place and Midnight smiled at me and I smiled at her. It was time to start. She got lifted up and it was time for me to get lifted up soon. I smiled, and when I heard her say Kasaki Baka, I said this. Oh, on the contrary, he is not called Kasaki Baka, I spoke. And here's my personal brother, Tony William Afton, who has something to say about Kasaki Bakago, said Midnight. Yes, I'm here to say Kasaki Baka is now my son. He is the first adopted son in the life of the Afton family. I spoke. Do you have the proof, brother? Said Midnight. Yes, I do, I spoke. It is this. I have the adoption papers that from the judge that clarifies that I am his legal dad, Mom, I spoke. It is and this means that he is my new nephew, said Midnight. Yes, that is what it means, I spoke. Kazaki showed me how you can do as an Afton. I spoke. Yes, Dad, Mom, said Kazaki. I smiled and it was time for me to take my seat at the teacher's aisles. I got to the teacher's aisles and Alma gave me the list of people who are in the sports festival. I smiled and thought of checking who would be good as my interns and sidekicks. I watched the first part and marked Ziku as a sidekick, and Shoto as a sidekick, and Kazaki as a sidekick, and Jiro, Asu, Shinzo, Kirishima, Tenye, Kendo, Libra, Mamo, Tetsu as my sidekicks, and Fumike as my intern, Mono as my intern, Shoji as my intern, and Koda as my intern. I smiled and showed all my brother smiled, and I felt my sister boyfriend was in danger, so I went to go and help save him. I told Alma to keep track on the kids are marked. He smiled and I headed to go out there and protected him and stood there and took the stab wound from my sister's boyfriend, and he looked at me and I just gave him the signal to leave. And he left. I looked at Stain and Stain looked at me. I told you to not kill heroes, I spoke. I know, sir, but what if they betray you? Said Stain. I know, but don't do it, I spoke. Yes, sir, he spoke. Let's just fight and make it look like we are fighting, I spoke. Yes, sir, he spoke. I smiled and we fought each other. It was time for us to hear some heroes coming and he left. I looked at them and they picked me up and rushed me to Ricardo's room. When we got there, I was shocked hence I was there in the room. Sir, are you okay? He asked. Yes, I'm fine, I spoke. So what did you do this time? Said Ricardo. Fought Stain, I spoke. I hope you knew what you were doing against him. Sir Ricardo. Yes, I am, I spoke. You just need bandages, Sir Ricardo. Thanks, I spoke. Ricardo did my bandages and I headed back to the teacher's aisles in the stadium. Almight looked at me and I smiled. You did not did to stop him. I said, Almight, I tried to. I spoke. He did not listen, said Almight. He definitely did not listen. I spoke. Are you going to get him back to the light side? Said Almight. I will try, I spoke. Let us continue because our hero sprint up is back, said Midnight. Thank you, Midnight, I spoke. They continued and I looked at the chart and picked Midnight as an intern, then I picked May as an intern for Henry. I looked at it and it was time for lunch. I went to the lunchroom and it was time for me to see what the other kids did. I smiled and saw all of them sitting together with Kazaki's friends. Hello, kids, I spoke. Hello, Mr. Springtrap, said Midnight. Call me William, I spoke. Hello, Mr. William, said Kirishima. Kazaki, you did good, I spoke. Thanks, Mom, he spoke. So, Mr. William, who did you pick, said Shiro. I did not need to tell you, I spoke. Okay, sir, said Shiro. Where is Denkin? I asked. He is with Minetta, said Elizabeth. Denkin, I spoke. Denkin had come running and looked at him in the eyes, and he said, Minetta made me do it. He spoke. I smiled and walked to Minetta and saw that he looked at me, and I grabbed him and took him to the principal's office. Nezio, may I ascertain the whereabouts of my knife? I spoke in the purple form. What do you do this time, Minetta? Said Nezio. He was making the girls dress like cheerleaders. I spoke as my purple demon. Oh God, good, he is back, said Nezio. Yes, I'm back, said my purple demon self. So I need to hide all the knives, he spoke to himself. All Might, come take Minetta from your brother. He is in his demon form, said Nezio in the microphone. All Might came in and took me there, and I was not myself, and my demon self looked at him, and he was going to get Minetta, but he was wrapped up, and I could hear the voices of my husbands trying to break me out of it. So he come back. We need you, said Aizawa. We need you, not the purple demon, said Vlad. I can't, he is in control, I spoke. You can do it, they both said. Ah! I spoke, breaking apart, and now I'm in control. He's back, said Aizawa. Aizawa, take Mineta out of here and tell him if he makes Denka do it again, I will not take control again. I spoke. Yes, love, he spoke. I was calming down as it gave me a cup of tea, and I went back to the lunchroom and saw the kids looking at me. I smiled as Kazaki hugged me. Are you okay? He asked. Yeah, I am, I spoke. I hope so, said Kazaki. It was time for one-on-one battles. I got in the teacher's aisles and I sat in my chair, and All Might gave me my favorite treat, which is ramen. I smiled and I started to eat, and All Might was be marking my papers on what was the best they could do. I smiled, and when it was done, I was shocked. Kazaki got first, Shoei got second, Teddy and Fumike got third. They all got their medals, and it was time for all of us to go home. I smiled. It was time for me to get some work done with the team. They stood at the door and I opened it for them and we hitched. We walked into my office and we had our meeting. When it was over, the kids coming home, I went and saw what they won their year group. It was nice that what they won.